perhaps the first piece of good news in 2020 has come from the early stage of the Oxford vaccine trial, being partnered by the Serum Institute here in India. We do have the first results, and it shows that initially at least the vaccine is safe and it's creating what's being called robust immunity in those who have signed up to be part of the trial. Now, as we said, joining hands with the Oxford University and this vaccine trial, as well as with pharma company AstraZeneca, is India's Serum Institute, and Adar Poonawalla, who heads the institute, joins us now. This must come as music to your ears. Still, you are trained to not celebrate too early, but we're going to allow you a few minutes of feeling good. What is it that is most important in the early results from the trial?
Okay, so the main takeaways, Barkha, is that it's safe. There were only mild side effects, so that's always a good sign. Fever, headaches, which can be, treated with paracetamol and just some rest. No serious side effects, so that's always very important as the first milestone any vaccine or drug has to cross. So, that's been done pretty well, because if you look at CanSino, Moderna, all the other candidates, they've only done a trial in 40 to 60 patients. Right? This is a 1,000 patient study. So when you compare the table, early first wave of vaccine trials, we've done it in a large number, and that's turned out to be largely quite good. In terms of the early immunogenicity data, that's also turned out to be quite good for 90% of the patients, and only 10% I think needed the second dose, which most vaccines need at least 2 doses to give you a proper long-lasting immunity protection. So, and the third point is the T-cell response. After 2-3 weeks, they found that the T-cell response, which is your memory, long-term ability, response for your body to be able to protect and produce an immune response and antibodies when you're attacked later on, or exposed rather to the virus, that response was also very good. In fact, better than some of the Chinese candidates. So these are all very good signs. The only thing it doesn't conclude, just so that everyone knows, is that whether it really protects you 100% against COVID-19 or not. That will become evident in 2-3 months when the phase 3 study is over in the UK and in India.
Now, all this sounds very promising, and you had in fact taken a gamble on moving into manufacturing and production stage even before the trial had reached this point. For you, you've been talking now about an August deadline. What is this August deadline? Because we're already almost at the end of July.
Yeah, so we're on track. We've made batches, at a small scale to know if it works, and it's identical to the one in the UK, and that's great. That's going on well. We're submitting within the next 48 hours our proposal to start the phase 2/3 study for licensure to the Drug Controller of India and CDSCO. And, in 2 weeks, they should give us that permission, or whatever other permissions that they want us to do, or any other trials to do, to establish this. And, I think 2 weeks after that, we should get into patients. Now, the manufacturing also will simultaneously start in August, as I originally forecasted. So come October, November, when the trial results come out, we'll have hundreds of millions of doses to give our Indians, in the first quarter of 2021. So that's the plan.
And because I know you to have always struck a note of sort of somberness in this whole conversation over the last few months, what would be your health warning? Because this is not the complete trial, right? We've had experiences with other vaccines, the HIV vaccine being the most notable among them, where the first couple of phases have given very promising results, and the vaccine has just fallen short in the final phase. So what would be your health warning, Adar, even as this is good news, and God knows we all desperately need some, what would you still like people to be careful about before we celebrate?
So I think even as we wait for the phase 3 trial to be completed, even after that, when the vaccine is licensed, we don't know for how long it's going to protect us. We don't know if it's going to be a 2-dose or a 1-dose vaccine, but most probably it is going to be a 2-dose vaccine if we want the level of protection that we want to give everyone. And I think, typically that's why it's been 3 to 5 years before anyone says that a vaccine is really working or not, because you need to, you can't rush that part of the science. You need that time to pass. to really know if that drug or vaccine is working. Now, the beauty with drugs or advantage with that is that you treat someone and they get cured and you can see that, in a few days. Whereas a vaccine, how do you know until you expose that human being to the virus, and unless you do a challenge trial? And there is talk right now in the UK of doing a challenge study. Now that, beyond reasonable doubt rather, would prove to you that you vaccinate someone and then you expose them to the virus and they're fine, then you know it's really working 100%. Now, traditionally, challenge studies have got their ethics issues, and we're not allowed to do that in India, and even in the UK, they're seeing whether they can do it. But these would be the kind of signs that we need to wait and look out for before we know that it'll work.
So let's simplify this. Let's simplify this for people who don't understand vaccines. At the moment, the trial has been conducted on perfectly healthy people who have had no prior exposure to COVID-19. And the health warning that you're giving is that therefore we do not know 100% at this moment what happens when they're actually exposed to the virus.
Correct. So it's proven that the vaccine will not cause you harm.
Yeah.
And it's proven that there is an immune response coming from your body, but we just don't know if that immune response is enough to beat the disease. So these are the facts that we know. Look, I mean, if there are other vaccine candidates who don't even have an immune response, which we call in neutralizing antibodies and other things, which means we know for a fact that those vaccines will not work because they don't have any immune response that they're getting out of your body. So this is all that we know right now.
So Adar, I have in front of me, and we're flashing it on our screen as well, the image of what you're calling COVISHIELD. And like I said, the Serum Institute has joined hands with AstraZeneca and the Oxford Institute. Now you have a name for this vaccine. You are moving it into production. What is the gamble that you're personally taking or on behalf of the Institute at this point that people should understand? Because people look at pharma, people look at vaccine makers and they think, oh, those profiteers. And you've spoken earlier about how you're actually pricing this in a way that you're almost doing this at cost?
Yes. So, apart from dedicating a facility, two facilities, and investing more than $200 million, which is a huge amount for us, in the OPEX and the raw materials that we now need to buy, which we've already bought now to start production, the manpower costs, the energy costs and all that, we've estimated by December we'll have been in probably just over $200 million, including certain other equipments, to be able to produce this vaccine, to make at least 200-300 million doses. So, or more, a little bit more than that. So that's the bet and gamble that we're taking. Now, if the trials fail, we'll have lost this money, including the opportunity loss of the products that we had planned this year to make in this facility. So it's a huge gamble that we're taking, and it's a personal gamble. This is not investors' money or a listed company. So it's our own commitment, if you will, to the country and to the disease that we're trying to fight.
So you're going to price, let's say this all goes well, you're going to price COVISHIELD at what? At $1,000, and you're hoping to make what? 1 billion vaccines by the end of the year?
It'll be less than that. It'll be probably a bit less than that. And when we go into larger volumes, it'll come down even more substantially. But as I said earlier, Barkha, I don't think any citizen of India is ever going to have to pay for it. Because we're going to give it to the government and they're going to distribute it free like they do most vaccines. Because this is national security, and I'm sure the government, which have already been knocking on our door,